Hey guys, how you doing? Byron Scott back with the Wholesaler 9 to 5 show. For all my 9 to 5 wholesalers or people who work in the 9 to 5, trying to wholesale. We're just gonna jump on here, talk about things you need to know, things you need to do, things you need to be able to do in order to wholesale real estate while working your 9 to 5, and potentially get out of your 9 to 5 and just wholesale real estate. If you don't know, you're new to the channel. I'm Byron Scott. Was a teacher. Started wholesaling, was able to get up out of that, spend more time with my family, my wife, my kids, and now spending time with you guys, trying to help other people do the same thing. So, if you're interested in that, if that resonate with you, you can follow the channel, subscribe, like, share, all that other good stuff. But we're going to jump into today how you can fill out wholesale contracts, right? A lot of people get all up in arms about the paperwork, paperwork, pretty easy. So if you can stay with me, follow me, we'll talk about how you can go about filling out the paperwork or the contracts to wholesale real estate. And I'll include a contract in the description below so you guys can go check out wholesale contract for free. You ain't got to put in your email, you ain't got to fill out nothing. Just hit a button, you got a contract. So we're gonna go ahead and get right into it. Uh oh. So let's see. This is the wholesale contract that I used to get my first deal, my very first deal. I used this wholesale contract, and it's pretty simple, pretty easy to follow. I think it's pretty simple. One of the best that I've seen around. But let's see. So at the top, it's pretty easy. Disagreement made this. You put the day, of, month, year. Then the seller name goes right here. And then as this says Social Security number, but I just put NA, right? Then the buyer, which will be you, or whether it's your name or whether it's your LLC or company or whatever. And then this is the key that's inside of the agreement. I'll make it a little bigger for y'all. It says and or assignees, right? And the thing is with wholesaling, you can assign these contracts, right? You put your name right here, you're on the hook if this clause is not there, right? And or assignees. That means you can assign your position in this contract to somebody else. And that's what we're looking to do as wholesalers. We want to assign our position in the contract to somebody else. That's what we're doing as wholesalers. We're assigning our position. So it's important to make sure in all your wholesale contracts that you have that clause and or assignees. Seller agrees. Seller agrees to sell, and buyer agrees to buy the following describe real property together, right? With all improvement, fixtures, personal property described below. So, bam, there you go. That's when you put the street address. So if it's 123 Apple Street and Tacoma, Arizona, I think that's what Tacoma is. Washington. Yeah, Washington. You put 123 Apple Street right here. Then you put Tacoma, Washington, zip code, and then county, and then the personal property include. I put right here property sold as is, right? I put property sold as is. And then right here, earnest money, you kind of want to put what you're comfortable with. There's no real thing that you have to put right there for the earnest money. You can put, $10, $1, $100, $1,000, $2,000. I think in the regular real estate world, it's always like a 0.5% or 1% for the earnest money. Like when I started out, I always put $100 just because if I had to, I knew I could give up $100. You can put $10 there if you want to. It's kind of whatever you and the seller agree on. You just put it in there and then if the seller say something about it, then you can change it, right? Just put some in there, whether it's $10, $100, whatever, right? Obviously, if you got it under contract for 300,000, you don't want to put $10, right? That just make it seem like you are not going to be able to come up with $300,000. A lot of times I put $1,000 unless I get up to $300,000, and I put $2,000, right? So really, like if it's $100,000 property, I may put 100 or 500. It depends on kind of how I fill out that seller. But you put whatever you can actually do, and then if the seller say something about it, then you can adjust it, right? So cash to sell at closing, that's gonna be your purchase. That's gonna be your purchase price right here. So let's say we were buying the property for $100,000. So property is $100,000. If your earnest money is $1,000, then at closing, the seller is going to get the purchase price minus the earnest money, right? Because the earnest money is going to be sent to the title company by you or by your buyer. And I always suggest the buyer send in the earnest money, right? You assign them the contract, they send in the earnest money. So the buyer send in $1,000 earnest money. The property purchase price is $1,000. So at closing, the sellers owe $99,000 because that $1,000 is already going to be sent, right? So the earnest money is a deposit. So just like anything else, if you make a deposit on something, that means they already got some of your money. So at the closing, the seller just need the remainder of the money. And that's what we're talking about right here. We're talking about cash to seller at closing. They just need the rest of the money. So it's the purchase price minus the deposit is going to give you the cash to sell at closing, right? And then existing loans or liens, I just put NA right there because the title company or the attorney's office is going to figure that out. New loans to sell at closing, NA. If it's something like that, the title company or the attorney's office is going to figure that part out, right? So that's why I do own those. And then if we scroll down, these are all the clauses, right? So all the clauses that's within the agreement is right here. So earnest money is not refundable. And we're going to talk about that. So the earnest money is not going to be refundable if you go beyond the due diligence period, which is written down below, which we're going to talk about. So the balance due to seller in the amount of blank shall be paid as follows. So the balance due to seller, that's the same thing. It's the purchase price minus the earnest money deposit. That's that number you put right here. So we're putting $99,000, and then shall be paid as follows. You put check or wire, right? Check or wire. That's what most title companies, attorneys' offices do. What's up, Rolex, man? What's going on? Just up in here talking about this wholesale contract. But I put check or wire, and then right here it just talks about security deposit, loan interest. This basically saying who's gonna pay what right here, right? So the seller is going to be paying the loan interest, property tax, insurance. The rent shall be prorated from the date of closing. So, like, let's say if there's a renter in there, it's going to be prorated. Like, they're going to get the rent from when they own the property. You're going to get the rent from when you own the property. That's if, you're holding the property or something like that. But a lot of times you ain't going to be holding the property anyways. All security deposits shall be transferred to the buyer at closing. So this security deposit that person is renting, let's say, you put a deposit on your apartment, for $1,000, right? That's going to be transferred to the buyer at closing. All impounded accounts for taxes, insurance are included in the purchase price and shall be transferred to the buyer at closing. So all the different accounts attached to the property is going to be transferred to the buyer at closing. Any shortage on these accounts shall be charged to the seller. So if the seller is behind a certain amount on the insurance or the taxes or all this other different stuff, then the seller has to pay anything they behind on that's attached to the property. So line 4, you always refer to line 4 if the seller asks about paying closing costs, realty fees, anything like that. So the buyer will pay all closing costs minus any unpaid taxes, mortgages, or liens, right? So you're paying, or the end buyer is going to pay all of the closing costs minus any unpaid taxes, mortgages, or lien. So the seller is going to be paying any unpaid taxes, any unpaid mortgage, any unpaid liens. And if the seller bring their own agent, you tell them, hey, look, you bring your own agent, you're going to be paying for that too. You know what I'm saying? So if the seller bring their own agent, they're going to be paying for that. You got to make sure they know that up front and understand, hey, if you bring an agent or anything like that into the situation, you're going to be paying for it. So, but anyway, so moving on to clause number 5. Clause number 5, closing date and transfer of title. This transaction shall close on or before, right? Blank date. This is a close by date. It's staying. It's like, it's not a set date that we have to close on this date. We're going to close. This is like a deadline, right? So this day is more like a deadline. So you always want to push that close by date out as far as you can to give yourself enough time to be able to find somebody that's going to buy, right? But at the same time, you don't want to push so far out that the seller is not going to be okay with that, right? And you don't want to push it so far out because time kills all deals. Time kills all deals. You got to be cognizant of that. Like, you got to be willing to go ahead and go through with a deal, right? Speed it up if you can. You want the deal to go as fast as you can if you can, but the only way you put like a quick date is if you got the buyer already lined up and you already got the buyer on the hook, right? If you don't have a buyer on the hook, you don't have the buyer lined up, then you want to kind of push that date back, right? That way it gives you time to make sure you have a buyer in line, make sure the buyer has looked at the property, make sure the buyer is ready to go, right? So that's what you want to do as far as setting up that date. Then we move on. Closing will be held at, and then that's where you put the attorney's office right there. Seller agrees to transfer marketable title. Clear of all encumbrances, means there's nothing held on the title. Title is not clouded, anything like that. Seller agrees to furnish title insurance in the amount of the purchase price shown. That's just talking about title insurance. Sometimes I take that out because sellers like, I don't want to get title insurance. Okay, take it out. But anyway, so damage to the property, seller shall maintain the property in its current condition. Just saying they got to keep the property in its current conditions. And if they destroy the property after you looked at it and signed this agreement, then it's going to be on them, right? So default, if the buyer default, they're going to have to give up all the earnest money deposit. If the seller defaults, then the buyer may pursue a remedy which is allowed by law, right? If the seller default. So the seller default, you can kind of go after them for what you put into the property and stuff like that. And then successors, meaning like if you, God forbid, if somebody may have passed away in this process, where can I get this contract? I'm gonna attach it. I'm gonna attach the contract to this video in the description below. It's gonna be like in a link or something. After we go over it, I'm gonna link it in this video. Successors, if somebody die, then all this stuff goes to the heirs or whatever. And then access and advertisement, basically saying that the seller agrees the buyer may advertise the property, which this is pretty cool, right? That means you're able to put this property out. And you really, it allows you to put it out on maybe Facebook, maybe Bigger Pockets, but like some people put this stuff on like Zillow. Right? It's like put people properties on Zillow, Redfin, Realtor.com. It's crazy, man. But seller agrees that the buyer may advertise the property. And a lot of times what I do is let them know, like, hey, look, we want to sell the property. Maybe we want to rent it out. We need to be able to put it out there. You know what I'm saying? So have access during reasonable hours to show the property to others, right? Which could be your buyers, right? Or your contractors or your partners, right? So if the property is vacant and in need of repair, buyers at their expense may make repairs and improvements. Any improvements made shall become the property of the seller should the buyer default, right? So if you fix up the property and the seller, if you fix up the property and you default, then that's the seller stuff that you fixed up, right? So moving on to the end of this thing, which is really important. Clause 10, the liability shall be limited to the property itself, should not go beyond, which is pretty clear. Hold on. Anthony got a question right here. Let's see. Have you ever had to get a liability waiver to get access to the property? Some people want that. Like some people want to sign liability waivers. Man, I got no problem with that, but I never had to do that. Like I've had people talk about that, but I've never had to do that. So it was all good. But I've never had to do that, but I don't see a problem with having to do that. So but anyways, so let's go. This contract is constituted to the entire agreement between the purchaser and seller regarding the property, supersedes all prior discussions, negotiation. That means all that verbal crap don't mean nothing, right? Whatever written right here is what means something. All that verbal stuff don't mean nothing. This is intended to be legally binding contract. You do not understand legal. Basically, letting know, hey, look, you understand what you signing before you sign, right? The buyer shall have, this is big right here. The buyer will have a blank day inspection period, right? So you want to give yourself an inspection period. You want it to be you want it to be as long as the darn contract is, if you can, right? You want the inspection period to end day of closing if you can, because this inspection during the inspection period you can back out of the contract, right? During the inspection period you can back out of the contract, but if the inspection period expires, right, if you back out after the inspection period has expired, then you forfeit your earnest money deposit, right? Which could be that $10, it could be that $100, could be that $1,000, could be that $2,000. So you can be like me. Well, I ended up, one situation, I ended up having to give up $5,000 of earnest money deposit to somebody because I went beyond the due diligence period, which was crazy. This was like when I was first getting started. That was a big loss for me, and I learned from it, and I never let that happen again. So make sure you be aware of the due diligence period and don't go beyond the due diligence period without having a buyer on the hook as well. So you want to make sure that your due diligence period is longer than the buyer's due diligence period. That's why it's like, hey, look, I let the buyers know, hey, look, by this day, you got to let me know. And it's like a day or two before my due diligence period's end. And on that due diligence period, when it ends, I'm terminating the contract, right? Or I got a buyer on the contract and his due diligence period ends before mine, right? And his earnest money is more than mine. So if my earnest money on this contract is $1,000, then the buyer's earnest money is going to be like $2,000. Or my earnest money is $100, the buyer earnest money is going to be $1,000, right? That way, if I default, I have to give $100 to the seller. If the buyer defaults, he has to give $1,000 to me, right? So you still come out on top. So just make sure that your due diligence period doesn't end before the buyer's due diligence period, right? And make sure that your earnest money is a lot less than the buyer's earnest money. So that's what you want to make sure of when you are doing these contracts. And that's one of the biggest things, man. This is the only thing in the contract that can make you lose money, right? The only thing inside this contract that can make you lose money is that part right there. And you save yourself by making sure that you meet that date, making sure that you have a buyer on the hook and their due diligence period ends before yours ends. That way, if they default and you have to default, you still come out with money, right? And then obviously at the bottom, seller signs, you sign, make sure they put a date, make sure you put a date, right? So that's it. That is the contract. I just went over it. everything that you needed to do, and how you can stop it, how you can not lose money within the contract, stuff like that. So if y'all got questions about the contract or how I use it, what I do, how I fill it out, make sure that you leave a comment on the side. We'll talk about it. If you catching this afterwards, leave a comment below, and we'll talk about, or I'll respond to your questions or concerns or comments that you have about this wholesale contract that I'm using right here. So that contract, I use it for the first time, and I tell the story like I had to sell it under contract. Well, no, I had to sell it at a price, and I didn't even know how to fill out that contract. I had to go and find the contract, figure out how to fill it out, send it to the seller. Had to figure out how to send it to the seller. So, this is the very first contract I use, and the contract I used for a long time. We're getting many deals, putting a lot of stuff on the contract. I've used it in multiple states. So the contract works in multiple states, at least over here in the Southeast. I've used it in Tennessee. I've used it in Florida. I use it in North Carolina. I use it in Georgia. So I've used it a little bit all over the place. Do you use DocuSign? No, I don't use DocuSign. I use Doc Hub, which is a Google. It's a Google platform version of DocuSign. Very similar. It was just that I have like a Google domain, so it was easier for me to use Doc Hub, be able to log in and get that knocked out, sending contracts and stuff like that. So yeah, that's what I use. But anyway, so that type of instructional stuff is what I want to do. Like I'm trying to go live like almost every day during the day, just to come to people, teach them how to do stuff in wholesaling. Like I said, I call it the 9 to 5 wholesaler show. People that's working a 9 to 5, or people that's in a 9 to 5 and trying to wholesale, teaching them things that they can learn and benefit from when it comes to wholesaling. So, yeah, man. But any questions y'all have, if y'all don't have questions, I'm finna roll up out of here and get back to wholesaling, man. What I'm doing right now, I'm, just looking inside of my systems, checking to see, do we have hot leads? See if somebody has signed a contract with us. And nobody has signed today. We had somebody sign yesterday, but nobody has signed yet as of now. So we got nobody to sign yet. We still got plenty of time today, though. Anthony, y'all let me know where y'all at, where y'all from, where y'all wholesaling at, stuff like that. Dang, that's good. But shoot, man, if y'all don't have questions, man, I'm gonna jump up off this thing. If you can, like the video, share it with people. Sassy is in Atlanta. Oh dang, you in Atlanta? What are you just getting in wholesaling? Already been wholesaling or what? Anthony is around North Carolina. Oh, that's cool, man. One of my buddy that came from back from Afghanistan is in North Carolina. He does a lot of deals up there. They can got some closing soon up there. Where you at in North Carolina? Charlotte, all around North Carolina. Oh dang. So you big time. How many deals y'all closing every month? How many deals you closing every month? I'm thinking about starting a course and like putting a whole bunch of stuff inside of this course to help people wholesale. I think there's a lot of courses out there that teach you how to wholesale, but like having a whole system, like giving away a system, like putting, like I got processes of marketing, processes of hiring people, processes of doing this and that. And this is a whole system that be put together and ran. So I think that's something that's valuable, something that I would need, but something that I wouldn't be able to sit around and teach people. Like I can't sit around and teach people this entire system, right? But I can put it out there as a course and say, hey, look, if you want my entire system, you want to know all these, I got all these different documents that you can, and videos you can hand over to people and just be like, hey, this is your job. This is what you're supposed to do. You can go through it with them. Even got like company manuals. I got like, job descriptions, what you're supposed to do every day on your job, stuff like that for all the different positions within the company. So I'm thinking about doing that. Just to, people coming and ask me, teaching this, teaching that. It's like, hey, look, go here, get this, and that's all the stuff I got. And it teaches you everything from me. So, yeah, I'm concerned because sellers won't allow showings because he's out of state. Ooh, doesn't want liability, but I was told to get him to sign a liability waiver. Yeah, you could do that, man. Yeah, you could do that. Yo, it's good to see you live, brother. Appreciate that mustache, Mike, man. Appreciate that. It's always good to be live with y'all, man. How many deals are y'all doing? Are y'all doing deals? Trying to do deals? Trying to get stuff under contract? Where y'all at in the process of wholesaling? You wholesaling, 5 deals a month, 10 deals a month, 50 deals a month. Where y'all at as far as what y'all wholesaling? How many deals are y'all getting? What are y'all seeing out there in the market these days? Let me see what I got. But yeah, man, that's what I've been doing, man. Just sitting here, getting to it, man. Basically watching my system run, watching the system work, watching my VAs do what they're supposed to do with the marketing, watching my VAs and acquisition managers do what they do, stuff like that. So trying to do deals consistently, that's what's up, man. Like I was the same way, like trying to do deals consistently was a big thing for me when I was very first getting started. But I just learned it's like consistent marketing and consistent buyers made a difference, right? If I have consistent marketing, consistent buyers, that's what kept the deals coming because the buyers were always looking for deals, and I was always running to people who was interested in selling if I was consistently marketing. So that's why I would say the big two keys for consistently doing deals. Um, Working on my first, that's what's up, man. Like a lot of people, may feel some type of way about not having a first deal or whatever. But dude, if you're trying to do this, like you're looking into it, if you're, making an effort, I always applaud people like that because like I spent 8 years making an effort, right? I spent 8 years looking into it, searching into it, listening to stuff, all that stuff, like listening and searching. But in the last 2 years, like I say, I actually got serious. I actually made an actual move, right? I actually started, doing stuff, right? I actually started spending money on software, right? And not that I had it, I went and created more money. I got another job. I made more money. I spent it on software. I followed what the pros do, and I got professional results, right? So I think that's one of the big things. So let's see. Seller says, have you wholesaled a pre-foreclosure before a tax sale? Ooh, I think I have. I can't remember. Um, I can't remember if it was going to a tax sale, but it was definitely going into pre-foreclosure. I've ran into a few that was going into pre-foreclosure and that we got wholesaled. So finding motivated buyers. You mean to find motivated sellers or finding motivated buyers here, Josh Hendricks? So finding buyers is, I think, is the most important thing. I always say that because they're the ones with the money. They're the ones that say, hey, look, we're going to buy this property or we ain't going to buy this property, right? They make the decision on whether it's going to be a deal or not going to be a deal. They bring the money to the table. They determine what the purchase price is going to be if the seller want a particular purchase price, right? So I always think it's big. You got to get that buyer on the hook. You got to build relationship with buyers, and then you can go find sellers that meet those buyers' criteria. But finding buyers is the biggest thing. And like I always say, the best way to find buyers is through agents. Another great way to find buyers at the county steps with these auctions. Another great way to find buyers on platforms like Bigger Pockets, which Bigger Pockets I think is a lot cleaner than Facebook. Just more people on Facebook, but if they're on Bigger Pockets and they're looking to buy something, more than likely. And then Facebook, real estate groups, you're gonna find some buyers there for sure. Um, but like I said, man, if you haven't already, make sure you like the video, ask questions about wholesaling. I wholesale real estate in the Atlanta area. Um, I currently have about 10 to 12 properties under contract. I'm doing anywhere in between uh, 50 to 100K a month each month wholesaling real estate. So that's kind of what I've been doing, man. I was a teacher. I stopped teaching after 2 years of wholesaling, and now I'm full time wholesaling real estate, and hopefully full time teaching other people how to wholesale real estate, how to get out of their 9 to 5, spend more time doing what they love, and just living their life on their own terms and doing what they really want to do. Some people really want to work their job, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you should be able to do what you want to do, right? You should be able to live a life. You get one chance. You should be able to do what you really want to do. If there's something that you really want to do, you should try doing it, right? Sometimes money is a limit to that. And wholesaling is an avenue where you can create extra money to be able to live the life that you want to live on your own terms. So that's what I'm doing, man. That's why I'm here, trying to help y'all out, trying to see what you guys need, how I can help. So Jamie Buck says, how much were you spending on marketing per week at the beginning? Shoot, at the beginning, I was spending probably $300 a month, maybe, right? So at the beginning, I was spending probably $300 a month, maybe. But every time I would get like extra money from Papa John's, I was spending on skip trace. I would buy more lists. I would text more people, right? And then I went from 300 to 500 to 700 to 1200 to going up and up and up and up and up. And now I'm starting to plateau on how much I spend every month. Now I'm spending I'm probably spending like maybe 4K a month. Maybe 4K a month is what I spend now, right? To run my whole business, probably about 4K a month. And that's not too bad. Also, how do you find buyers on Bigger Pockets? I get lost. I get lost on Bigger Pockets website. Yeah, Bigger Pockets website, you get lost in there sometimes. But if you go to the marketplace, then you have to be a pro member in order to post in the marketplace. But post in the marketplace, and if you make a post about a property in the marketplace, people start reaching out to you, right? And you like, hey, don't I have to have a property to post? Yes, you have to have a property to post, but you could run a ghost ad, right? If it's somebody who might be interested in selling, you could put the property out there and put like a price up there that you're wishing that you could get it at, right? And people will respond to you with interest, right? And then you're like, oh, that property is no longer available, but are you buying in the area? What do you buy in the area? Is it the only area you buy in? Stuff like that. So that's a way you could find buyers on Bigger Pockets. Or you could just search Bigger Pockets for the people in your area that's posting, and then you can see what they're posting about and kind of go from there to find buyers. But yeah, man, I found my buyer for my first deal I closed on Bigger Pockets. Yeah. The first buyer from the first deal I closed was on Bigger Pockets. But anyways, man, I'm finna get off here, man. I appreciate y'all coming through, always coming through and supporting me. I appreciate it. Like I said, I'm gonna put I'm gonna get off here and put the contract in the description below. Make sure you go check that out. If you haven't already checked out my previous video about my 100K a year wholesaling operation, where I have an outline of all the different positions, departments that I have within my organization. You can go check that document out on one of my previous videos. I think it's called "Who Are You?" Because like you call a seller, like, who are you? You know, it just talks to you about how to pitch your business, how to say, how to pitch a business and be successful wholesaling. So, but anyways, how many contracts do you need? Really, you just need one contract with the seller. You need one contract with the buyer, right? I think on the next live, I'm gonna go over the assignment contract, right? So on this one, this is the contract you have with the seller, which is, this is the contract you have with seller. And then tomorrow or whenever I go live again, I'll try to go over the buyer contract, right? You can have the same contract with the buyer, but I'll go over how you fill that out. And then you can have an assignment contract with the buyer, which you assign the property to them. The difference is when you have the same contract with the buyer and the seller, that means you have a double closing. That means you are buying the house from the seller, and then you'll literally turn around and selling the house to the buyer, right? The other way to do it is you can have a contract with the seller to buy their property. And then you can have an assignment contract with the buyer, which means you are not going to buy the property anymore. You are assigning your position in that contract to the buyer for a fee, right? So we'll go over that next time. Make sure you show up, tune in, share this with other people, man. I'm trying to reach out, and I think I'm going to set myself a goal to try to help 10 people with a 9-to-5 begin wholesaling, right? Actually get a deal and begin wholesaling, right? Not just getting one deal, but actually wholesaling. So 10 people, I want to start saying 10. I want to say 100. Let's go 100. 100 people. I want to help 100 people with a 9-to-5 start wholesaling, right? Have a wholesaling company. Have a company that does wholesaling. So if you're interested in that, make sure you stay tuned in, share with other people. A lot of people out there with a 9-to-5 that would be interested in making more money and setting up a company that can bring them 6 figures a year. Share it out with your people, man, on IG, Facebook, wherever you at. So, but anyways, JS say you got a question. What's up, JS? You got your hand up. Tell us what your question is, JS, man. You look sharp there in your picture, man. It's always good to see a brother looking sharp. But yeah, let us know what you got before I get off here, man. I'll go ahead and take your question. But while he typing up his question, yeah, make sure you share your stuff out, man. I'm trying to reach out, impact people. I wanted to impact kids. Like that was my thing, like impact students, try to help them understand that they could, become this, become that, become this. But now it's like, dang, I was working a 9-to-5. I was looking for more. I was looking for my time back. I was looking for time with my kids, and I was able to do this, and I was able to get it. So it's like, dang, I want to go help other people get the same thing. That's why it's like the 9-to-5 wholesaler show. So you're dropping a link for the purchase sales agreement? Yes, Jamie Buck. I'm jumping in the link for the purchase sales agreement. How often you follow up with people that say no to your offer? I follow up as much as I can. I follow up as much and as soon as I can, right? So like if somebody say no, I'm gonna get them at least once a month, right? I'm gonna hit them once a month, the people who say no, until they cuss me out. Now, when you cuss me out, then I probably hit you up in 3 months or something like that. But if you just say no, not interested, I hit you up next month, hit you up next month, hit you up next month, hit you up next month. Just keep hitting them, right? So that follow-up game got to be on point, right? So I'll try to hit them up every month if I can, but I just have too many leads. I can't text them all every month, but I text and try to get them called, try to get them contacted as much as possible and keep my follow-up game going, right? But yeah, the purchase sales agreement is going to be posted down below in the description of this video after we get off here. I'm gonna go ahead and post it on there. But man, like I said, y'all, that's good. I just came with my own personal goal on here on YouTube. Help 100 people start wholesaling within their 9 to 5, right? So if you've been following me and you was working a 9 to 5 and you start wholesaling, let me know, man. We'll try to keep track of it. See if I can help 100 people with a 9 to 5 start wholesaling. But I appreciate y'all coming through, always showing support. If you haven't already, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Till next time, peace out. Hold on, I'm sorry. We got one more question, man. You finding better results texting or cold calling? Right now, I'm finding better results in texting, but it's like before I was finding better results cold calling. Both of them work, right? You just have to stay consistent at both of them because, like, sometimes you be like, "Oh, look, I'm getting more over here," and then you look back up and be like, "Oh man, this ain't working as much anymore." Oh, then you start doing another thing. Oh, I'm getting more results over here. It's like you just start going back and forth, and that's what I was doing. It was like I gotta start going back and forth. Both of these work. Just do both of them. Do them consistently because both of them work. Or what you do is specialize in one of them, right? Know everything about it, right? And then, and then once you perfected that one, once you built that bridge, then go do the other one and build that bridge. Become a specialist at that. If you're interested in texting, you can use my link for launch control. And I'll put that below as well. Use my link for launch control. If you send me the link for launch control, I'll send you the templates that I use, and I'll send you the quick replies that I use to get deals today. Right. So thank you. Thank y'all people for coming out. Let's close some deals, everyone. Yeah, let's close some deals, man. Let's build this thing up and close some deals. I appreciate y'all coming through, and I'm out. Peace.